Of course, to describe nature as robust and dynamic and capable of adapting wouldn't be very convincing if the alarmists were correct that we're experiencing a plague of extreme weather, what Al Gore keeps calling a nature hike through the book of Revelation.
All kinds of unusual catastrophes, like a nature hike through the book of Revelation.
Every night on the news now, practically, is like a nature hike through the book of Revelation. These storms, it's like a nature hike through the book of Revelation on the news every day now. We are seeing every night on the television news now a nature hike through the book of Revelation.
And the book of Revelation, for those of you who did not have the advantage of his biblically based upbringing, is the last apocalyptic book in the Christian Bible. But what is the evidence? Well, in the first place, there's the idea that we are enjoying a long series of unprecedentedly hot years. There's also the idea that we are getting more hurricanes, that we are getting droughts, flooding, wildfires, that the Arctic ice is melting and the sea levels are rising. Every time there's bad weather, some journalist or politician says, aha, proof positive that we're facing climate change. When California was in the grip of a drought in the summer of 2015, the New York Times naturally ran articles with headlines like, California drought is made worse by global warming, scientists say.
The clock has sort of struck the final hour. We need to make a difference right now because we're already going to feel the implications of climate change. We're already seeing in my hometown a massive, unprecedented drought that will not reverse itself.
Well, what happened, of course, is that the California drought ended and there was heavy rainfall and flooding. So what does the New York Times say? Quote, a climate change warning for California's dams. Scientists have said for years that a warming atmosphere should lead to more intense and frequent storms in many regions. We already know that there's something suspicious about this whole line of argument because the record, as far as these kinds of temperatures are concerned, only goes back into the 19th century, that is to say, to the depths of the Little Ice Age. So of course, as the Earth comes out of a natural cooling period for natural reasons, it tends to be warmer than it was back when it was colder. But it's also true that that number was produced by the least reliable set of sensors that we have.
But what we've generally seen is that the thermometer record occurs at the end of the so-called Little Ice Age. So the idea is the thermometer record started when temperatures were colder and have generally increased as temperatures have gotten warmer to the modern optimum period. The thermometers of 1850 aren't the same as the thermometers of 2010. The other problem becomes where those thermometers are located.
The temperature network has, on the whole, migrated to the cities, which probably means it's migrated downward toward coastal areas because that's where major cities tend to be.
The other problem, too, that we have with thermometers is the effect of urbanization. Classic example is Dulles Airport in Washington, D.C. We had these newfangled airplanes and we needed weather instrumentation there, so we moved the thermometers out to Dulles, which was way out from the Washington Center. But the urbanization effect has taken place at Washington. Dulles is now in the middle of an urban heat island.
It's also based upon the least reliable sea temperature measurements that are taken at the surface with a methodology that is both inconsistent and has changed over time. As Essex and McKittrick point out, since 1979, a group of scientists have been measuring the temperature with balloons, ships, weather satellites, and buoys 1 meter below and 3 meters above the surface of a large region of the tropical Pacific. And they found that the water's getting warmer, but the satellites, balloons, and buoys show that the air above it is getting colder.